Welcome back, fellow SPCH 100ers. I'm Linda, and don't worry folks, Bernard the bear is A-OK. He was able to successfully escape that shark because he had the proper scuba diving equipment set up, and that is exactly what I'll be going over today. So, without further ado, I believe it's time for us to get started on my informative speech all about scuba dive equipment. This will be a beginner's guide so that at the end of this video, you'll well be able to go out and rent or buy the scuba equipment needed to safely begin your very own scuba diving adventure. The word scuba is actually an acronym that stands for Self-Contained Underwater Breathing Apparatus. According to Scuba Diving Magazine's article titled Dive Gear 101, there are 7 essential components that go into a proper scuba dive equipment configuration: your tank, regulator, BC, dive computer, mask, wetsuit, and scuba fins. So, let's start with probably the most crucial piece, simply for the fact that it holds the only air supply you'll have underwater, and that is your scuba tank, also sometimes referred to as a cylinder. Contrary to popular belief, scuba tanks don't contain just pure oxygen. They contain air in its entirety, which means nitrogen is inside. A scuba tank holds air at 3,000 psi. So how do we safely get air out of this thing? We attach a regulator. According to PADI, which stands for the Professional Association of Diving Instructors, a regulator is your primary device that delivers the air from your tank at exactly the right pressure when you inhale. It is actually a 2-part system. The part connecting the tank via the yoke here is called the first stage, and your mouthpiece is the second stage. Also attached to your first stage is the hose to your BCD, which we will dive into next. So, this nice blue vest you see here is your BCD, which stands for Buoyancy Compensator Unit. The BCD enables you to control the depth you're diving by putting air in the press of this round button here, causing you to float and rise underwater, and taking air out with the press of this brick-shaped button here, causing you to descend underwater. This woman's Scuba Pro Air 2 BCD model does not have its own pockets to hold weights, which serve to offset your body's natural tendency to float, so you will need a separate weight belt like this one. This BCD was, however, designed so that both the power inflator for your vest and your secondary backup regulator is integrated. Now, let's dive into what a dive computer is all about. A dive computer, according to World Diving Review, tracks the dive depth and time, and because of the nitrogen in the tank, as I mentioned earlier, a dive computer also gauges the levels of nitrogen content in your bloodstream and calculates the time needed for decompression, so you avoid decompression sickness, also referred to as the bends, which can be fatal. This here is an Aeris Atmos AI and is an integrated dive computer, which means it also acts as your tank pressure gauge, so you can monitor how much air you have left in your tank. It is connected via a separate high pressure port on your first stage, which I have already covered, connects your BCD, tank, and your regulator. Now, the final 3 components that will complete a proper scuba dive equipment configuration are your dive mask, wetsuit, and scuba fins. The human eye cannot focus underwater, so we wear a mask. We wear an exposure suit as the one I'm wearing now, which is a women's Henderson Aqualock 3mm wetsuit, because of the fact that water absorbs heat 800 times faster than air. So while we're diving underwater, a wetsuit will greatly help us retain our body heat. Lastly, we use scuba fins, as it significantly aids us to swim more efficiently underwater. As we witnessed at the start of this video of Bernard the bear propelling himself underwater so fast that he was able to successfully get away from that shark, we can definitely attribute his narrow escape to his use of scuba fins. As humans though, the use of scuba fins requires us to wear booties to protect the bottoms of our feet. This concludes my informative speech on the 7 components that make up a proper scuba dive equipment setup: the tank, the regulator, the BCD, the dive computer, our mask, our wetsuit, and our fins. Thanks all for watching. See you soon.